This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania.
Well, welcome back to the program. Our expert on all things related to roads and bridges and transportation, Bob Latham, joins us. He's the Executive Vice President of the Associated Pennsylvania Constructors. They do all this road and bridge construction. We see those men and women all over the place, don't we?
Well, we're going to take a break for the holidays.
Oh, well, good.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Yeah,
to you.
same to you. All right. Now, we've been talking about this for the last several years, about how badly needed bridge repairs and maintenance, road repairs and maintenance, and the backlog was enormous until a piece of legislation was passed a few years ago known as Act 89. We'll try to stay away from the Act numbers. So what's going on with the deterioration of our whole transportation network?
Well, everybody wanted to know when we passed this transportation bill, and obviously we increased a number of taxes, a number of fees on consumers and on motorists. All right, are you going to spend this money wisely or not? Are you going to make what accomplishments are we going to see? And I'm really happy to say we now have some statistics that I think will be very impressive to people. When we started talking about this several years ago, our bridge backlog, 6,000 bad bridges in Pennsylvania. We call them structurally deficient. That has been cut in half.
Wow.
So we're down to now 3,000. That's still 3,000 too many, but we're working off that backlog. We're no longer number one in the country, so we're seeing those results. We're seeing a shoring up of our bridges, and we have more bridges in this state, by the way, just as a reminder, than any other state in the country.
Now, I want you to get this. I mean, I'm struck every time I hear this. I go, wow, more bridges. Finish the thought. More bridges
than any other state in the country.
I mean,
and we had the highest number of bad bridges, obviously, but now we no longer have that high number, and we've also cut that inventory from 6,000 to 3,000. So we're really working them off as a result of the money that the PennDOT is putting into fixing roads and bridges.
So what you're saying is we've got to continue to be patient. I know we all go through this when we're lined up waiting to get over, a 2 lanes or a 4 lanes. It's now been down to 1 lane or 2 lanes. And we've got to remember that this is important work that's being done and to have a little more patience, right?
Well, exactly. And it also, just a reminder, it puts money back into the economy. Remember that work, that design work, the engineering work and the construction work are done by private companies. So this is private industry that is involved in fixing and upgrading our infrastructure and our transportation highway system in Pennsylvania, which obviously has a spin-off to the economy. The other thing that I think is really important to note is that we have had a market improvement in our pavement conditions. And when I talked about the number of contracts, we're up 2/3 over what we were prior to Act 89, and as a result of that additional money, those additional contracts, we're seeing improvements. Plus, we're seeing a number of big projects getting going. The Central Susquehanna Valley Expressway up in the central part of the state around Steel and Grove. We're seeing a lot of big jobs around 95. That's a very expensive roadway, an artery of the country that comes through Philadelphia. So all across the state, we're seeing work as a result of it.
As I pointed out a moment ago, I don't think you can drive 5 miles and not see road construction. And it's just literally, if you drive throughout the state, you have evidence right there visually of the work that's being done.
I agree, and I think one of the adages was you could always tell when you leave Pennsylvania the roads are much better at the border of the other states.
Right.
I don't think that's true anymore. I think we're seeing a pavement project and a pavement smoothing that is very, very competitive with other states.
All right, we got about a minute in this segment. Let's start it when we'll finish it up in the next segment. Okay. I want to talk about safety.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Road conditions are a factor in a lot of accidents. Talk about that.
Absolutely. One of the things we talked about, again, when the whole transportation bill was being discussed, was that this investment would improve safety, convenience, and quality of life. I talked about the convenience aspect with bridges. But last year, in 2016, we had the lowest number of highway fatalities since we started recording highway fatalities in 1928. Obviously, there are a number of factors, but certainly road conditions play a lot into that.
We're going to run to a break. I want to stay on this subject. This is very, very important because improving the road conditions has improved road safety, and that's important for all of us to get. We'll be back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, advancing quality, improving lives.
We're chatting about transportation with our expert, Bob Latham. We get Bob in from time to time. Okay, I mean, this safety thing is unbelievable, and I want you to repeat it now. The lowest traffic fatalities since when? Since
1928, since we've been keeping records. And again, a number of factors there, but you know, we're here on the eve of the holidays, and people are traveling back and forth, and we're just happy that more people will be home for the holidays that wouldn't have been before. Now, here are some other statistics. One of the things that cause, obviously, fatalities on roadway accidents is run off the road fatalities. They're down. Hit fixed objects. I mean, we have a lot of country roads, you know, with trees and other things right on the edge, but we've done...
and deer that run out and stop.
Exactly. We've invested about a little less than $400 million in some of these, what we call unique safety projects over the last 4 years. And this, obviously, it's a factor in what's starting to pay off in lower deaths on highways.
Yep.
So we're also doing some of these low-cost things, you know, the rumble strips on the road, a better guide rail. I mean, these are little things that can be done.
I'll tell you, those things on the side of the road, I don't know what you call them, but when you get off the road and the rumble strips and you hear them, you get back on the road. They are hugely important because it's easy when you're driving miles and miles and hours. You get a little bit to the right, you know, you could run off the road and that jars you. These are... you know, but look like modest improvements, but they save lives.
Exactly. Again, almost 500 of these statewide over in the last several years, and it's having a big impact.
All right. How controversial are automated speed enforcement in work zones? You get some complaints about them. I think you're aware of that. And what's, first of all, explain what they are. What are they?
Okay. Basically, it's a technology system, I guess, sort of like radar, that if you speed through the work zone, you would get a ticket sent to you in the mail. It's very, very effective in Maryland and other states. And what you see there, what we've seen since they implemented it down there, is a real reduction in the number of fines. You know why? Because people are complying with the speed limit. Now, it is somewhat controversial in Pennsylvania, although it did pass the Senate and is now in the House. It was just reported out of the House Transportation Committee, and we'd like to see the bill
So you think it's going to pass?
We're hopeful it'll pass.
And the governor, have you had any indication from the governor about what he's likely to do?
I believe that the governor is in favor of it, and will sign it. You know, there are people who have expressed concerns. They don't want to have such a system, and my response to them is it's a very, very easy way to avoid a fine. Don't speed through the work zone.
That's a good point. It's also dangerous to the people who are working there. We got to point that out.
Well, I mean, from our standpoint, representing the construction industry, that's what we're interested in. We have a dangerous operation, and unfortunately, we have people killed in highway work zones, mainly from distracted and speeding drivers through there. So what we're trying to do is have a system where at least we'll get the speed down, and
you're optimistic that when the legislature convenes, gets back after the holidays, that they'll take it up.
Our goal is to get this done before the budget season's over with. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to get involved, tie that into the budget, I think. Well, look, I want to thank you for coming in. This has been a wonderful update, and as we get into the new year, we expect you to come back and provide us with some more updates. All right, next week, guess what? We're going to have 3 of the state's leading reporters. We're going to take a look at the big stories of the week, of the week. Try the year, not just of the week, and we'll look ahead to 2018. Have a great Christmas, and whatever holiday you celebrate, have a good one, and we'll see you soon.